Live shot of the White House. Look at a beautiful day here in Washington, D.C. Welcome back to Morning Joe at 34 past. Here with us now, the president of Shirley and Bannister Public Affairs, historian Craig Shirley. He's the author of Reagan's Revolution, the untold story of the campaign that started it all. Craig has a new piece in Politico asking this question, whether the marriage between conservatives and the GOP is over. And he writes in part this: Republicanism is grounded in winning elections for politicians, while conservatism is grounded in winning freedoms for individuals. American conservatism has changed over the years only to the extent that it is always about the expansion of freedom. Thus, Lincoln and Reagan were true revolutionaries, anti-status quo conservatives, and not really Republicans. Indeed, both Lincoln and Reagan belonged to other political parties before joining the GOP, but doing so was a practical decision. If they were going to bring radical change, they needed the apparatus of a political machine. Republicanism is about anything but radical change. Thus, the GOP and conservatism have little in common. It is a tenuous alliance at best.
So where's your Romney bumper sticker? Do you have it all?
Apparently he
got some
peeled it
paws
off.
on it called Dogs for Romney.
Listen, I gotta say,
Romney peeled it off.
Yeah.
I've been discouraged for 8 years as a conservative because the Republican Congress and George Bush have passed the largest deficits in the history of this country, the biggest debt, a $7 trillion drug benefit plan in Medicare that we can't afford. And what really scares me about this election is Mitt Romney and Republicans coming in and giving us 4 more years of that. I think it destroys the conservative movement. Listen, I'm certainly not saying that Barack Obama would be better for conservatives, but Mitt Romney causes real concerns historically for the conservative movement.
Yeah, you bet. Somebody observed the other day he might be the first Republican nominee to get the nomination without even securing his base prior to getting that nomination. And so there's a very tenuous relationship, thin, relationship between Mitt Romney and the conservative movement that we think dominates the Republican Party today.
But everybody falls in line during these elections. Everybody gets excited. Republicans dragged a lot of conservatives over to get excited about Gerald Ford in '76, Bob Dole in
Ford lost
in 19. I know Bob Dole in 1996.
Look at Rick Santorum
in 2000. No, I always say Republicans don't win presidential campaigns by going to the middle. Republicans win by picking conservative candidates. Judging by history, Mitt Romney's in tough shape, is he not?
This might be, I've been asked a lot, is this like 1976 or like 1980? This might be actually more like 1940, in that Wendell Willkie runs as basically New Deal light. And the voters, given the choice between the real New Deal and the fake New Deal, go for the real New Deal. And if Romney runs as a centrist establishmentarian, which is basically what his campaign has been about, that is only about, I'm against this candidate, super PACs throwing all of his opponents, and at the end of the day, we're left with a candidate that we don't know what he stands for. Most candidates, most successful campaigns, you can conceptualize them in a bumper sticker. Carter was going to come and clean up Washington and put a human face on international rights and international affairs. Reagan was going to, defeat the Soviet Union and cut taxes. John Kennedy was going to get this country moving again. We know what Obama stood for in 2008, but he might be Romney could be the nominee, and we don't know what he stands for.
Chuck Todd, there was a certain Republican columnist who lives out in California, has a talk radio show, that was basically attacking me for not getting on board. I got to tell you, though, I'm from the Deep South. And this weekend, I was in Northwest Florida, the Redneck Riviera, as we love to call it. You know it very well. I spent a lot of time in Alabama, a lot of time, again, in the Deep South. There is no excitement for Mitt Romney whatsoever. In the heart of American conservatism. California Republicans may love him. New York Republicans may love him. But in the heart of American conservatism, I have never seen them more tepid about it.
I have a family member in the rural district who said to me, I remember on Florida primary day, I said, so who'd you vote for? And he said, well, I voted for Newt. And I said, why? He goes, well, I know he's not going to be the nominee, and he probably would lose worse to President Obama. But he goes, I always want to say I didn't give the Republican Party Mitt Romney. And this is, like I said, is very. This is somebody who's run for office down there. Yep. This is not some somebody who's not engaged in the process. So there is a passion issue with Mitt Romney, and he described him this way. He goes, "The guy's a postcard." And I thought, basically saying he's a two-dimensional figure. He's not. He hasn't been able. And I think that's part of. We don't know who Mitt Romney is. And I tell you, when I read your column yesterday, I said, boy, if Mitt Romney loses, that to be the debate inside the Republican Party and the conservative movement.
It's going to be Greg's fault.
But it's going to be the debate.
Well, it's going to be the debate. What is it? Is it because Mitt Romney wasn't? I mean, this is going to be the debate. Is it because Mitt Romney wasn't a true blue conservative?
Right.
And what is the Republican Party going forward?
Well, yeah, I was going to make the point. Well, first of all, Craig published a book between walking from the green room to being on the set.
He does every
week.
It's ridiculous.
And there's a book.
Secondly, I don't think it's a regional thing. I think Mitt Romney has a problem with passion in every region. And when he left Massachusetts, his numbers were terrible, and I think that has to do with the type of candidate that he is. And I think you saw that yesterday in two instances. One was when he said that, when this happened last night, where he said that he was deserves credit for the auto bailout turnaround. That's just factually not true. The second was when he refused to stand up to this woman in the crowd when she said Obama should be tried for treason. Now, you can make the case that he shouldn't be held responsible for the people at his what they say at his rally, but John McCain had that same instinct.
You said it off air, and you're right. He's always calculating. It's not natural. If Craig or I were giving a speech and we are conservatives, and somebody said Barack Obama was guilty of treason, we'd say, no, he's not.
Exactly.
No, he's not. Barack Obama's a good guy. He's wrong on every single domestic issue.
That's such an important point because politics, the establishment politics.
You would say that for a second. If somebody stood up and said he was
I think the birther issue is ridiculous.
No, what I'm saying though is if somebody stood up, well, like let's say 1941, you would have denounced him
easily.
It's tactical. Where conservatives are not episodic and tactical. They're strategic and they're about philosophy and ideas, not just about scoring political points.
Right.
Exactly. No, it struck me. It struck me. It's funny you bring this up. It struck me yesterday. Mitt Romney was so programmed to don't offend conservatives, don't offend conservatives, don't offend conservatives. He's still not. It's like he's forgotten.
And so Craig, I got to ask you this question because too often a political party is judged by the person that wins the nomination. The fact is, Mitt Romney won the nomination because he had a lot of weak conservatives running against him. Why didn't Chris Christie, a new poll out today, Chris Christie is plus like 20 points in the bluest of bluest states. He's one of the most popular governors in America. He didn't run. Jeb didn't run. Mike Pence, a Reagan conservative out of Indiana. Mike could have won this nomination. I know some conservatives have trouble with Mike Huckabee. Mike Huckabee could have won this nomination. Why didn't the first team of conservatives run for president this year?
Search me.
Well, does that say something bigger about the Republican Party?
There were some good candidates. You know, Governor Rick Perry is a very good man and has done a good job down in Texas.
He just couldn't speak in complete sentences on the campaign trail, and you know
it. There's a slight problem there.
But he's done a good job in Austin. He's a good man.
Can I make a guess as to why? Because the process of running for president is so grueling right now, and it's been made more so by the fact that you can have $25 million in negative ads thrown against you. I was talking to Craig. Newt Gingrich will go down in history as the first victim in a presidential campaign of the super PAC. And if you're sitting back and you're saying, I think I can run for president, do you really want $25 million in negative ads run against you and everything?
Craig, historically, Romney killed him twice, in Iowa with super PACs and Florida with super PACs. I would say probably nobody's had more negative campaign ads run against him in the history of this republic than Newt Gingrich, in large part because of Mitt Romney in Iowa and Florida.
Yes. And don't forget, too, is that these other candidates who didn't run look large because they didn't run. If they had gotten in the race, they, too, would have been crushed down by the process.
You get diminished by the process and by, remember, did you want to run against Mitt Romney, who you knew was going to do whatever it took to win?
Whatever it took.
All right, Craig Shirley, thank you so much.
Thank you. By the way, this just in, Craig Shirley just published another book.
It just happened.
The third Reagan first. Are you going to do, instead of sequels, right, what would have been?
And Chuck Todd, we'll see you on the Daily Rundown.
Right 15 minutes.
All right. Hurry, well, write that show.
15 minutes.
That's okay. No, it's all about it's all about keeping the audience in your ear.
That's right. Maybe 16 minutes. All right, Chuck, thanks. Next, business before the bell with Oh, crazy Brian Sullivan.
He is crazy. We love him.
Yeah.